What's up, y'all?
What's going on,
What's
guys?
going on, man? Happy
So
day.
glad you're with us. Thank you for hopping on and sticking with us and subscribing and checking us out and giving us your feedback. Appreciate you guys.
So look,
What we got?
man, I already know this gonna hit, man. I already know y'all gonna like this, man. Thomas Sowell said the stupidity of apologizing for slavery. So I don't know when this video dropped, but I've been looking. I've been talking about this, and I didn't know there was a video done on this. So whoever does these videos for Thomas Sowell, I guess they must be looking at my channel and be like, let's make one on this. I heard them say that.
Okay, let's go and see. This is very interesting. I really would like to hear
the stupidity
his
of apologizing for slavery.
Comments on this.
Tiger Woods doesn't owe me an apology. Nothing that he has ever done has cost me a dime nor an hour of sleep.
True.
This is not a plea to be non-judgmental. I am very judgmental about all sorts of things, including Tiger Woods' bad behavior. But that is very different from saying that he somehow owes me an apology. For all I know, my neighbors may be judgmental when I drive out of my driveway in a 15-year-old car. But they have never said anything to me about it, and I have never offered them an apology. This is not equating driving a 15-year-old car with what Tiger Woods did. But the point is that any apology he might make should be made to his family, who were hurt, not to the public, who might be disappointed in him, but not really hurt. Public apologies to people who are not owed any apology have become one of the many signs of the mushy thinking of our times. So are apologies for things that somebody else did. Among the most absurd apologies have been apologies for slavery by politicians. For one thing, slavery is not something you can apologize for, any more than you can apologize for murder. If someone says to you that he murdered someone near and dear to you, what are you supposed to say? No problem, we all make mistakes? Not bloody likely. Slavery is too serious for an apology, and somebody else being a slave owner is not something for you to apologize for. When somebody who has never owned a slave apologizes for slavery to somebody who has never been a slave, then what began as mushy thinking has degenerated into theatrical absurdity, or, worse yet, politics. Slavery has existed all over the planet for thousands of years, with black, white, yellow, and other races being both slaves and enslavers. Does that mean that everybody ought to apologize to everybody else for what their ancestors did? Or are the only people who are supposed to feel guilty the ones who have money that others want to talk them out of?
I promise you, man, if this information would have been publicized in the education system, the woke movement, because I can't stand that movement, and that it wouldn't exist because everyone would have the real data, so you couldn't build off your own agenda off the backs of this topic. It wouldn't. You have to come from some other angle for your agenda. This history of slavery is the reason why people have made these agendas to saying everybody's lives, it's based off this. The information that they think they have that they don't know.
Yeah, because they're only using one source or one book. Well, let's just say there are people who are, scholars, and they've done research, and they may know a little bit more than the average person who's willing to do their homework and dig a little deeper knows. They still want to paint a perspective. They still want to paint a certain story. So, like you said, it can support whatever that movement is that they're trying to do, plan, support, fund, all of that. But based off of all of the research and the things that we've been doing, I feel completely different about it. And when he said that, I knew exactly where he was going with his statement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This craze for aimless apologies is part of a general loss of a sense of personal responsibility in our time. We are supposed to feel guilty for what other people did, but there are 1,000 cop-outs for what we ourselves did to those we did it to. Back in the 1960s, when so many foolish ideas flourished simply because they were new, a New York Times columnist tried to make the case that we were all somehow responsible for the assassination of President Kennedy. That was considered to be deep stuff. It made you one of the special folks when you believed that, instead of one of the rest of us poor dumb slobs who believed that the man who shot him was responsible. For more than a century, the intelligentsia have been trying to get us to focus on the root causes of crime, supposedly created by society, instead of locking up thieves or executing murderers. If some people don't have the money or the achievements of others, that too is society's fault, in the eyes of those for whom personal responsibility is an outmoded idea. Personal responsibility is a real problem for those who want to collectivize society and take away our power to make our own decisions, transferring that power to third parties like themselves, who imagine themselves so much wiser and nobler than the rest of us. Aimless apologies are just one of the incidental symptoms of an increasing loss of a sense of personal responsibility, without which a whole society is in jeopardy. The police cannot possibly maintain law and order by themselves. Millions of people can monitor their own behavior better than any third parties can.
Right.
Cops can cope with that segment of society who have no sense of personal responsibility, but not if that segment becomes a large part of the whole population. Yet increasing numbers of educators and the intelligentsia seem to have devoted themselves to undermining or destroying a sense of personal responsibility and making society responsible instead. Aimless apologies are just one small symptom of this larger and more dangerous attitude.
And that's so funny who he had sitting there. He had Al Sharpton, he had Minister Farrakhan, and that looked like Jesse Jackson sitting on the end. And all of them blame it on the oppressor being the problem, and we don't have any liability on why on our thank you. We don't have any personal responsibility or liability on why we do what we do and why we're not here in this place and time versus white people.
I get it.
Not sugarcoat it. There are certain things that like some of those guys that said I can understand, but for the most part, it's all about victimhood with three of them, with the, Mr. Farrakhan, all of them. It's all about victimhood and not shoot down anything, just in case people are followers of Mr. Farrakhan. I've listened to certain things. It's all about somebody who done to us. That gets old. You should run that. We can run that jump for forever.
Right. I mean, I feel like initially, in the very beginning, or back then when slavery was enacted, those people who were the enslavers owed apologies to those that they enslaved.
Yeah.
Now, what some of the scholars, what some of the scholars and activists are saying is that what it did to generations well beyond, mentally, we're still reaping the benefits. Plus, racism exists, and we know that's all over the world, not just against blacks.
Yeah.
However, the media perpetuates certain things, and that's the force and the main cause, or what the main purpose of the media is to influence emotions and to shift the way we think.
Yeah.
So, at first I was like, well, do they owe us? This was before we start digging deep and going down the rabbit hole of finding true facts. And it's like, maybe they, we do. But then once starting listening to Thomas Sowell and doing the research and understanding where slavery and how it existed and how it was, a way of life across the planet, it didn't make it right for any culture to be enslaved, but that's what it was, then I can say I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
We may have had ancestors who were enslaved, and because of the acts of slavery, how it's impacted us today it has shifted. But do we really need an apology?
No.
Because you slaved our great grandparents.
And then, to be honest with you, not everybody's a descendant of slaves. I know I'm a descendant of slaves because, just because my family history. And shout out to let me get her name. I think it was my girl Barbara. She did my whole genealogy on my family, man. Shout out that, because I sent that over to my family and they got to see a lot of things. But it showed this, on my granddaddy's side, those people were all slaves on his side under him. That was slavery. Mm-hmm. They were on the slave side, and then, but not every. So, and I'm saying this, and I'm a descendant of slaves, and you got people that's talking this, all this, and they ain't even, not everybody descendants of slaves. Not everybody's descendants of slaves.
Yeah, I still
know your history.
Yeah,
you can't even talk if you don't know your history.
Yeah,
So No, keep going ahead. Go. I'm gonna see.
But yeah, I agree with what he's saying. And it's too bad that
Barbara Stockfield. Barbara, if you listen to this, shout out to you, Barbara Stockfield.
I never sent you my information. I know one of my cousins did a family tree and all of that, for us, and we were able to see who our, ancestors were, and we have a lot of biracial on my dad's side of the family, and we got a chance to see like slave masters, So I would love to still send her some information against my family and see some of the stuff that she.
That would be your mom's side.
No, my dad. I'm interested to see what. Do you have to pick a side? Can it be both?
I think she asked for a person. It was like
okay.
a particular person, age and number, then she can shout it out. But that'd be your mama's side.
Yeah,
I would daddy's side are from Mount Caucasus.
But still, it was real interesting. I have to get the tree and kind of look at some stuff to go back and remember some of the information. But yeah, I would like to know, with my mom too.
Yeah.
But she knows that her parents, I don't think were enslaved.
Yeah.
They actually had a land and were pretty wealthy.
Not everybody was slaves, and that's.
But I don't know how much further on down that if we dig and find out that there may have been. I don't know, but I can agree with what he says now that I have a better understanding of it. I think for myself, and we have facts, and I can agree that if it wasn't done to the person who suffered should have been the one to get the retribution, but they're saying that they're no longer here, so they want to get the retribution instead, which
Correct.
I can understand that as well, but is that fair?
Not really.
It's like...
I say if you're going to do something, you need to open up some kind of, maybe you can make a program that was that could help the community. That's, let's say if it's paying some kind of form of something, it'd just be a program or opportunity that black people that were true descendants of slaves could be a part of, something like that. But just handing out cash or something like that, I don't believe that. And then if that's saying that to say, then you're going to have to open up programs like that for every nationality that were descendants, not just black people. So you would have to have all the people that were descendants of slaves. Black people are just the most well known for building this country. So yeah. But giving out cash, I don't believe that. I used to think about that, but don't hand out a whole bunch of cash because it's just going right back to Steve Jobs.
And
Jeff Bezos. It's going right back to Bezos.
Oh, I really wish we would go ahead and shift the perspective of everything being race related. It gets to be it's such a drag, and I really feel like what needs to be discussed is if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, because that's the real war when it comes to money and wealth. Green don't care about the color because there are too many multimillionaires and billionaires of multiple different nationalities to say that has something to do with race. I mean, you can't say that now. But I really wish it would just be flat out squashed.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to move forward, man. If you want to make some money, man, some people want to be victimized and they want to stay that way, and let them stay that way. But I say then, but the problem is the new generation is going to be forcing things based on the ignorance of these people that are creating stuff. So based on the ignorance of them not knowing their lineage and not knowing what history really entailed, they're making new stuff that's really affecting the kids, and that's the problem I have.
And is racism dead? Well, no, that's going to be in the eye of the beholder. Whoever that ignorant, person is that still has a limited belief system that makes judgments against a person because of their skin color is doomed in their thinking, to me. And good luck with your life.
I think you have a lot of. I'm gonna say this,
but I wouldn't say that's like the majority across the planet.
I think you got prejudiced people, and I think you have a very small percentage of. I think you got a small percentage of racist, but you have a large percent of prejudice.
Okay,
and that's the difference.
Well, yeah.
Now calling somebody racist,
there's two different.
You calling somebody racist, and now the good. Like I said, I've said this on 50 other videos. It's the two words go together now. It's racist and bigot, and that's what this new agenda is trying to put together to make it okay.
Yeah, but it's time for that to shift. It's time for that. It's time to quit holding on to that.
The past.
To that, and focus on what's real and what's really going on, and that's just it's just shrinking down. The incidents are isolated, and the views of whoever feel that way it may not ever change, but I still don't feel like it's the majority.
Yeah.
I really don't.
What talking about as far as the word racism? Smaller percentage.
I really don't. Now the president,
maybe
we
in the
looked that up.
50s. Maybe in the 50s.
Yeah, we looked that up.
In this time frame, unless you go to you ain't found somewhere in the stick somewhere where they still calling you boy and nigga, you know, maybe that's probably, but the majority you might see more prejudice, and that's what people don't know how to separate. So
yeah. That was good.
Right. Man, like, comment, subscribe. Don't take a nose out, but comment down in the section below if you want some more.
And thank you guys. We love you. We appreciate all your support, and stay tuned for more because we're going to keep bringing it.
Let's go.